Hello, my name is Glyzkore and welcome to the wrap-up of the Italian Nationals 2015 a belated team report of my Mega Abomasnow team that I've featured for the last couple of days on my channel with these super low quality phone cam videos. I hope this is higher quality though. So anyways, let's hop right in by looking at the team's history. How did I come to build this team? Now, I really wanted to build a team around Mega Abomasnow. Now, why did I do that? Because I thought the meta was filled up with Landorus and Thundurus, Therian and Incarnate and whatever. And they died to blizzards, you know, and there are a lot of Pokemon weak to ice type attacks, especially in combination with ground because grass, because grass and ice is resisted by water, and grass basically defeats that. Yeah, you know, that's how basic Pokemon works. Anyways, so I looked up what people have built cores around Abomasnow in the past, and one thing that stuck out to me was Enoshachar, or however you pronounce his name, Humans, a team from 2013, where he used a Rhyperior. Rhyperior and Abomasnow is a really good core. They cover each other's they cover each other offensively really well. Defensively not so, because they are weak to steel, weak to fighting, and yeah, that's just no good, you know. And then I looked around for a foolproof way of setting up Trick Room, and now the obvious answer is Kangaskhan and some, I don't know, Cresselia, but I could not run Kangaskhan because I had in mind of running a Mega Abomasnow, and I didn't want to run a regular Kangaskhan, you know. So what I decided to do is look up different teams from Hail Room, and what stuck out the most to me was Charizard and Scrafty. Sechun used this at the 2013 World Championships and basically made top 8 with it. Ben Gold made top 4 with it, with Scrafty and Charizard. Basically, this is just such a good way of setting up Trick Room back in the day that it still is even today, or back in 2015. Yup, and that's how I wanted to set up Trick Room. Now, what are these mons weak to though? They kind of lack. Oh yeah, and because I had the Charizard, I kind of wanted Lightning Rod support, so I had to say goodbye to Rhyperior, and Rhydon came in its place. Wonderful animation, right? So yeah, anyways, so I picked up Rhydon here to get Lightning Rod. Now Rhyperior does have Lightning Rod as well, but it's almost a crime to run Rhyperior without Solid Rock, because Solid Rock is just such superior ability to Lightning Rod, even though Lightning Rod supports the team a little. And it also helps support the team against Thundurus, which could be a threat to most Trick Room teams since they can just Thunder Wave and such. Anyways, so, but this team was really weak to grass types, you know, especially Ferrothorn and Amoonguss. Although I had an Abomasnow to deal with Amoonguss, Amoonguss could Slush Bomb it and Giga Drain, and basically it's not a good day for this team. So I decided to add a Safety Goggles Heatran onto the team to specifically deal with Amoonguss and Ferrothorn. Now Ferrothorn often comes in rain teams, but thankfully, thanks to Abomasnow, I can mitigate the threat of rain by basically changing the weather, you know. So next up, I had a huge weakness to fighting type attacks, signified here by a Conkeldurr, because as you can see I have 4 Pokemon weak to fighting, so I had to say goodbye to Rhydon and set a Marowak in its place instead, because Marowak basically fulfills the same roles, has more attack, even though it has less defenses, it has more attack, and basically has the Lightning Rod ability, but it does everything the same, except it doesn't resist bird types attacks, which kind of is a problem, but it isn't weak to fighting, which is really important, you know, because even though Sylveon was running rampant, I kind of expected to see a lot of fighting types since Kangaskhan was also running rampant, and basically fighting types are the way to 1-hit KO Kangaskhan, you know. Basic Pokemon again, basic Pokemon. Anyways. But with this team though, I kind of felt still weak to fighting type attacks, as well as Mega Venusaur, which came up as a problem to me, even though I had that Heatran. Like, my other 4 Pokemon cannot really deal with Heatran, with Mega Venusaur. So yeah, I decided to add a, what's it called, a Talonflame onto the team, a Life Orb Talonflame to deal with the Venusaur. Even though Venusaur can be built to survive the hits of Talonflame, Talonflame can heavily dented, and basically once it's heavily dented, but my other Pokemon can pick it up. Yeah. Also, I decided to run Talonflame because it could work inside and outside of Trick Room. It could support the team with Quick Guard and Will-O-Wisp opposing Kangaskhan, which I had problems dealing with. Since I only have one way of hitting it super effective, or one hit KOing it, and that is by using a Marowak, you know, and that's not really the most safest switching into a Kangaskhan. But this team composition really left me weak against Kangaskhan and Sylveon. So I could potentially lead Talonflame and Heatran, but then I would have to hit my Will-O-Wisp, and basically it's just not a good thing for me. Like, Kangaskhan Sylveon was such a threat to this team that you will see what happens later when we talk about the team, when we talk about the tournament recap. Anyways, yep. Let's have a look at the team in depth though. Abomasnow, basically standard set, Blizzard Ice Shard, Wood Hammer and Protect with a quiet nature, 252 ABs in attack and special attack, and I opted for no bulk since I want to make these 5 turns of Trick Room count. And basically I do this by maximizing attack and special attack. Not much else to say though. Marowak, Thick Club, Lightning Rod ability. I already explained how Lightning Rod was important. It's to counteract Thunderous and other electric types to safely get up Trick Room with my Chalicent. The EVs are really not that spectacular. Brave Nature. Now I opted for Boomerang over Earthquake because I basically had no partner net to Earthquake besides. Yep, and that's why also Boomerang has a chance, or I think it knocks out Aegislash, and also it knocks out Heatran behind the sub or with a Sugar Berry, so that's really nice. Low Kick was here to basically one-hit KO Kangaskhan, and Rock Slide Bar is basically Edge Quick combination, you know, with Boomerang. You already know the deal though. Then Chalicent. Now this is one mistake that I made in team building. Like, I opted for a super defensive Chalicent with 156 defense and 100 in special defense with a sassy nature. Although its sustainability is really good because I can set up Trick Room twice or three times if I want to, but you know, I would not have to set up Trick Room a second time if I could just do damage with Chalicent, you know. So what I think, if I ever run this team again, I will change it to a more offensive, to be exact, a super offensive Chalicent with Citrus Berry, Water Absorb as the ability instead of Cursed Body, with 252 special attack investment, Quiet Nature, and then the attacks which are crucial are Water Spout and Shadow Ball. Now, nowadays you can run Waterium Z instead of Citrus Berry to may have a 200 base power water type moves, but back then in 2015 you did not have any Sea Crystals, so Citrus Berry is probably the way to go, you know, to have a little bit of more health for Water Spout to do more damage for longer periods of times. Also, Protect is really crucial instead of Recover, because this way I can switch out my partner into a more beneficial mon that deals with, for example, if I lead Scrafty Chalicent and then my opponent has, for example, a Thunderous and Kangaskhan, I can just Protect to Fate, or I can do shenanigans and basically just dodge, for example, Sucker Punches and do other stuff that I could not before. Yeah, well, you know how to Protect and it works, right? Anyways. My next member is Scrafty. Scrafty with an Assault Vest does this, and the ability Intimidate works really nicely with together with Chalicent, because it basically Chalicent weakness is the physical defense, and I kind of mitigate this problem by having Intimidate on the team. Now the EVs are interesting that although I would only need 12 defense and 252 HP to basically live a Talonflame Bravebird, I decided to put some more into defense to live it more comfortably in order to also survive hail damage, you know. That's basically the trick behind it. Also, I decided as a fourth move to run Super Fang to set up KOs for my Pokemon that Scrafty otherwise could not deal with, for example bulky water types or flying types, other than Talonflame obviously. Also Charizard was a big threat. So yeah, alternatively I could have run Stone Edge, but I thought Super Fang at the time was good. Now I would change this Scrafty though to a Lumberry set and then run Taunt as my last move, because Amoonguss just was a threat and I really needed to get around Amoonguss somehow, so just had, you know, have a little bit more leadway to a Amoonguss matchup. Also, what I didn't take into account was Smeargle matchups with Dark Void, so yeah, that's probably also what's improving the matchup there. Next up we've got Heatran. Now about Heatran, there's only one thing to say. The 30 HP IVs are here because my in-game Heatran has those, because I was soft resetting and couldn't get a 31 HP IV, but it has 31 in all the other stats, so yeah. Anyways, so safety goggles to help up with the Amoonguss matchup basically. There is not much to say now. I decided to run Flash Cannon over Substitute, because I did not run Leftovers, so I didn't want to lower my health unnecessarily. And also I ran Flash Cannon because of the fairy types, mainly Sylveon, that were a huge threat to the team. And yeah, now here's the one thing I would probably change the most about this team, Talonflame. In fact, I would change it completely, but let's talk about this Talonflame first though. It is Jolly natured with 172 speed EVs, which allows it to outspeed Thundurus by 1 point, and basically Flare Blitz it for some huge damage. Well, as much damage as it really can do. Like, Talonflame has really low attack, even with a Life Orb it's not doing that much damage. And also I have Quick Guard and Will-O-Wisp to counteract Kangaskhan's. Yeah, there's not much else to say, because I would change it to a Billa Slash. An Aegis Slash with Leftovers, Stance Change, level 50, yeah, that's basically what it has to be. EVs now, I don't want to reveal my secret EV spread about Aegis Slash. What I will say about it is that it's modest natured, has Shadow Ball, White Guard, Substitute and King's Shot. Now I know that it cannot beat a Kangaskhan, but what it can do is switch in on a Kangaskhan, because I do not have any Pokemon that can switch in on a Kangaskhan. And what's also interesting is that I think now that I have a second Steel type that is weak to ground, I really need to run White Guard on it. And I kind of want to, but still, that Amoonguss matchup, I dread it. I dread the Amoonguss matchup. For example, Amoonguss in rain. I cannot bring Heatran, so how am I supposed to beat it, you know? Maybe a Aegis Slash, you know, with Substitute can beat it, or something along the lines of that. But that's about it for the team in-depth. Let's have a tournament recap. Round 1, as I said, Kangaskhan Sylveon, he led Kangaskhan Sylveon and basically wrecked me from there 4-0. I could not do anything about it, like the lead idea with Heatran and Talonflame did not pop up into my mind, and I just got wrecked, man. There's not much else to say. Now the next round I won though 3-0 because I think his Rotom missed an overheat or something along the lines of that, but basically his team was quite weak to my Abomasnow, so I was able to go from there. Now his Amoonguss wasn't that big of a threat for some reason, because even though he led with it, I was able to play around the sports with my, I believe, with my Abomasnow, like I could switch in Jellicent to Abomasnow and basically roll from there, Super Fang the thing, and then, you know, do shenanigans. One interesting thing about his team, it was a safety goggles Gyarados with Taunt to T-Wave, Protect, and presumably Waterfall. Really interesting, I want to say. Next round, round 3. This one I won as well. Like the green background means I won, the red means I lost. I won this 3-0. Like, if you look at the team, Heatran and Abomasnow basically wrecked this team. They have such a good offense against this team. Also, Marowak would have been good, but I decided to bring Heatran just because there was an Amoonguss on there, and my Heatran was holding the safety goggles. So I was basically able to 3-0 this guy. Also, a side note, this was a best of 1 tournament in the Swiss rounds, and basically moved on from there to best of 3 in the top cut. Now this round 4 you can watch on my channel where I commentated as well. It's like kind of low quality, but basically what it comes down to is his Amoonguss being just a nuisance to my team, and me not utilizing my turns correctly. Round 5 though, I won. I think there was a crit somewhere which helped me, but I mean, his team was quite weak to my Marowak in the Abomasnow. You know, as you can see, his Medbros and Rotom H died to my Marowak, and the rest dies to Abomasnow. That's basically the game. Now, round 6, I think there was also a crit with my Heatran somewhere, heatwaving and critting someone. I don't remember because I mean this was 2 years ago and I didn't record those battles. Anyways, I won this 3-0 according to my notes. And now round 7 you can watch on my channel. Interestingly, I say that he has an Excadrill, but he actually had an Amoonguss on there. For some reason he didn't bring Amoonguss to my team against my team, as did all the other people who had Amoonguss brought Amoonguss to my team against my team. But yeah, basically this was me was the match with the double protect and not locking, and him locking out a little, but me then choking in the consecutive turn. Now against this guy, this was actually quite cool because it was a German guy and he knew my name for some reason from a forum from the Visa board, and yeah, nice guy. I beat him, and you can also watch this game on my channel as I commentated. You have not much more about to say because you can just watch the game. Now here, a Perish Trap team. Interestingly enough, he had a Citrus Berry Azumarill, which did not have Belly Drum, but it had Perish Song and Dive, and it presumably was Sap Zipper. But I did not attack it with my Woodhammer because I kind of assumed that it was Sap Zipper, so yeah. And this one I won, and leaving me with a 6-3 record. Unfortunately, I could not top cut with this record because I would have had to go 7-2. So 1 win, 1 game difference, whatever. I was still stoked about my performance though, because I think in the games that I won, I think I played really well. Like the first round I could not do much about my matchup, and round 7 I believe, well, he got a double protect. I could have played it better, I think, like the second to last turn, for example, and round 4 I could have played that really I could have played that better though, but I'm overall really content with my performance, because this was my second nationals. My first nationals was German nationals, where I run a Sunroom team, which was also quite cool, but yeah, there I went also 6-3. Yeah. Anyways, what do you think of the team? Let me know in the comments. My name is Glyzkore. I hope you had your fair share of fun. I know I had mine. I hope I'll see you next time. Have a nice day. Goodbye.